How do you reconcile that for Canadians? Why are we handing that leverage over, Minister?
They're back at it again. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we've got Mark Carney's energy minister announcing critical minerals deal and looking at the companies they're investing in. This is money flowing out of the government to businesses. Immediately there are red flags. And another red flag, Tim Hodgson goes on Vassy show and he is the most condescending, arrogant jerk you can imagine. Vassy's taken back by the garbage coming out of his mouth. Let's jump into this. Starting this one off, we got some polling data here. So Rio Tinto with this poll, Conservatives 42%, Liberals 40%, NDP 8, Bloc 6. You'll notice the Conservatives now have the biggest lead, 2 points, since the election. And Rio Tinto pointing this out here. So Conservatives 42, and back in the election they had 41.3. The Liberals are at 40 right now, and they had 43.8. So that's a almost 4-point swing for the Liberals from the election, and Conservatives are up 0.7. We also got this one from David Coletto. Tight race continues as Trump's trade talk cancellation adds tension ahead of budget. So the cost of living, 62%, still dominates everyday Canadians because things are so expensive in Canada. But Trump has made his way back up to the second position here. I think he dropped to third place, maybe in fourth place at one point. Essentially, well, he's tied with the economy. Housing and healthcare are close third. And we see government approval ratings. You can see Carney peaked at 53. Now he's down to 47. So it is taking some time. Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives need a bit more time for him to tank his numbers here before we go to an election. Impression of Mark Carney down to 46%, peaked to 51. And Pierre Poilievre's impression, yeah, you know what happens here is anytime the media spends a couple, 3, 4, 5 days just slandering the crap out of him, that's what you get, these big spikes. I mean, when you're spending millions of dollars a day to do that, people don't know what's going on. Most people who vote are older and they're going to be watching CBC legacy media. And here's the committed vote intention. Look at this web back and forth. So Conservatives leading right now. And we are seeing the NDP ticking back up, which is a good thing. Need to take more of that Liberal vote. Moving ahead, we've got some newcomers. What are they doing? Trick-or-treating. That's right. But they're not going to take just one candy like any normal Canadian would do. They're stealing all of it. Get this out of Canada. This should be a deportable offense. Moving ahead here, we're going to be talking about critical minerals for most of this. Tim Hodgson, this is quite the interview with Vassy, but before we get to that, we've got this one here. Mortimer posting this. Saskatchewan First Nation challenges government over environmental assessment of uranium mine. Tell me what business wants to invest any money in Canada when this is what you face. There's never enough consultation until First Nation gets their extortion payments, and even then the payments never end. A payout is always needed. While we're talking about critical minerals and uranium, we've got Mark Carney's energy minister, Tim Hodgson. This is the most arrogant, probably shocking interview I've seen all year. Just listen to this and watch Vassy's face for the moment. You'll know it. Jumping into this interview halfway here, Vassy's asking him about signing these critical mineral deals and giving up a lot of our cards here in negotiation. Looking at these beforehand here. So Burnaby, BC oil refinery falls under U.S. control, $9.1 billion deal. This refined a third of the gas used in Greater Vancouver, and this just got sold to America. We also got this one here. U.S. strikes $80 billion for new nuclear deal. This is for Brookfield. Donald Trump did a deal with Bruce Flatt and Brookfield, $80 billion deal. These should be attached to negotiation, which is what Vassy's about to ask here.
Yeah, I guess I'm just trying to understand on behalf of Canadians the national security imperative that you laid out. When you talk about a wake-up call, I did want to also ask you on this issue, because it does appear that we are closely aligning ourselves to the United States, not just with the announcement that you made today, but also the U.S. government has taken an ownership stake in 2 Canadian critical mineral companies. There's a recent deal that'll see Cameco again give the U.S. government increased access to Canadian uranium. Why are we handing the White House so much of our leverage with these strategic assets?
Let me repeat for your viewers again. 26 different deals with 9 different countries, with every single G7 country, along with other allied countries from 4 different continents. The vast majority of those deals were with countries other than the United States. The United States did participate in that. We want them to.
He's sounding like a teacher talking down to us. He's so arrogant and condescending. What he's talking about, these deals he's talking about, is this: Canada to accelerate critical mineral project worth $4.6 billion, energy minister says. Hodgson said that Canada and its G7 partners will mobilize public and private capital to fast-track graphite, rare earth elements, and scandium production. As part of this alliance, Canada said it has signed an offtake agreement for scandium and graphite with Australian miner Rio Tinto Tinto and Quebec-based Nouveau Monde Graphite. An offtake agreement is a deal where the buyer agrees to purchase the producer's output in the future for a determined price. So this is his deal here with 26 critical minerals. His arrogance here just increases throughout this interview.
We believe in multilateralism. We believe that our supply chains will be more robust if we have many off-takers, not one or two. And this is a win. So I fundamentally reject your premise. What we are doing is aligning ourselves with the G7. We are aligning ourselves with a multilateral approach to solving this problem.
I'm actually shocked that Vassy asked that question, because it's what I've been saying on the channel for so long. All these projects getting sold off or done in America, the deal with Brookfield. I'm surprised she mentioned that, even though she said Cameco and not Brookfield, even though it was Bruce Flatt there shaking Donald Trump's hand. This is the truth of it, though. We're doing all these deals. We're giving up all of our leverage and getting no deal in return. It is a little refreshing. She finally asked a good question here. Somebody on mainstream media finally asked one of these questions.
The U.S., though, has been spearheading for a long time, trying to prompt actions from allies, traditional allies, I should say, to counter China's dominance in the critical mineral space. I combine the announcement today, and I take your point that it is a multilateral effort, with three other announcements, which give the U.S. government specifically increased access to strategic assets in this country. While at the same time, the White House is throwing down tariffs, the ambassador is lambasting us, the president is referencing us as the 51st state. How do you reconcile that for Canadians? Why are we handing that leverage over, Minister?
So let me give you a little bit of a history lesson. For the last many years, people have been talking about the challenges of critical mineral supply chains.
Look at her face. She is so pissed off. Look at this. Who is this guy? He's so arrogant. Let me give you a lesson here.
It was our prime minister. It was our prime minister, who was the head of the G7 in Kananaskis in Alberta, who said Canada will take the lead. Canada proposed a critical minerals production alliance. It was a Canadian initiative. We got the agreement of the other G7 countries. We suggested the other countries appoint critical mineral envoys, which they all did in response to our request. And since the summer, we, Canada, have been taking the lead with our critical mineral envoys, working with the critical mineral envoys of 9 other countries, including every single G7 country, to turn that talk into real action. And that real action is $6.4 billion of Canadian projects now moving ahead to go from talk to reality. I think that's a great example of Canada punching above its weight.
Thank you, Minister, for the history lesson, but it doesn't address the substance of my question around why we are allowing the U.S. government, not U.S. companies, the U.S. government, increased access to strategic assets at a time when we are engaged in a trade war, at a time when the Prime Minister has specifically said the relationship as we know it with the United States as far as economic and security interdependence is over. Is that not the converse of what your party and your government has told Canadians?
Good job, Vassy. She's finally on the ball here. Why are these guys letting everything go to America with nothing in return? It's almost like they're working for America. It's almost like our prime minister is 91% invested in America. If I were a betting man, if we got to see what his stocks are, because we don't get to because our country's as corrupt as Somalia, that I bet he's invested in a bunch of these critical mineral companies. 3 weeks now, still don't know what his investments are, still waiting for my email back from Parliament. I highly encourage everyone watching this to send an email to Tim Hodgson's office and ask what stocks he's holding in his RRSPs. The Honorable Tim Hodgson. There's his email address right there, tim.hodgson@parl.gc.ca. Are they going to reply to any of us? Probably not. The point is, we want to know what his RRSP composed of at least one controlled asset is. It's going to be more than one, and I bet you it's a bunch of these companies here. Our country's a complete clown show. But finally, Vassy's on board here, asking real questions. And she didn't take that lying down. Thank you for the history lesson.
Again, I don't think you have it. It's accurate. We have never said we don't want to trade with Americans. Americans have been great trading partners. What we've said is we want to diversify and grow our trading relationships. What the Prime Minister has said is we will significantly grow our trading relationships with other allies who share our values. What did we just do?
No, that is not what you guys said. You said the relationship was over. It's all done with America. It's over. That's what the whole campaign was on. Not we're going to grow our relationships other than America, but it's not over. These guys are liars.
We just announced 26 deals with 9 different countries, including every single G7 country. We are doing what we said we would do, which is diversify our trading relationships, grow our relationships with our allies. That is what we've said from the very beginning. That's what Canadians expect us to do. We are not proposing to shrink our relationship with the Americans. We are proposing to grow our relationship with others.
Are you sure that you and your party colleagues have never said that you're proposing to not keep the relationship where it is with the United States? Because I remember the Prime Minister saying our old relationship we had with the U.S. based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperations is over. That is the message, with great respect, Minister, that Canadians received during the campaign and after. I understand that what you did...
You see that? He's got the duper's delight, too. These guys are all scumbags. Just as she said it here, look at this duper's delight. He can't hide that smile. No wonder him and Carney get along.
Understand that what you did today is about multilateralism, but not everything on the critical mineral file falls into that category. And the examples I provided are about deepening the relationship with a White House, with a U.S. government that has taken direct aim at our country.
We have said is a reality where we put all of our eggs in one basket, where 70% of our export trade is with one country, is not in our long-term interests, and that we want to continue to have a good relationship with the United States. They are our largest trading partner.
That is not what you guys said. He said the relationship is over. They are chronic liars. Let me just break down what's really going on here. This set of deals he announced, the first company here, Rio Tinto, I knew it right away, but I didn't have it built out on my chart, and well, now I do. Well, who's Rio Tinto? The world's second largest metals and mining corporation. Rio Tinto's largest shareholder is China LCO. We'll get to that in a second. Rio Tinto transitions U.S. copper mine operations to renewable diesel. That should tell you everything you need to know about this company. It's another eco-green company that these guys are backing. Rio Tinto invests $2.4 billion into the world's largest greenfield lithium project, a substantial investment into the future of green energy. Now back to China LCO, it's this company here. It is a Chinese state-owned enterprise. That is the majority investor in Rio Tinto. China LCO acquired a significant stake, 14.99% from the London arm in Rio Tinto in 2008, equating to 11% overall. China LCO's acquisition of shares in Rio Tinto. So here's the receipts of that one. Rio Tinto has operations in Quebec, BC, Labrador, have required federal approvals related to emissions credits, export permits, indigenous land claims. Looking at this company's connections here, right away, you're going to see a bunch of companies that Mark Carney's invested in. Weyerhaeuser Company, Hitachi. I'm pretty sure he's invested in Accenture PLC, Aluminum Corporation of China Limited, or China LCO is the parent company. And we've got it here. Chalco attempted $19.5 billion investment in Rio Tinto in 2009, was rejected, a move that was interpreted in China as part of a broader geopolitical pushback against its global resource transition. So they tried to do a huge investment in it. They did end up buying, as you saw, 11%. So our government is investing in a company whose majority stakeholder is China, a Chinese company, a state-owned enterprise. And this gets worse, don't worry, because who do we got here? Oh, Dominic Barton, Dom.
Hello, everyone. Congratulations to all today's graduates, and thank you for coming together for the 117th convocation of the University of Waterloo.
Remember this one?
I'm honored to congratulate Dominic Barton on becoming the university's 11th Chancellor. Dom, you've done a tremendous amount to make life better.
Yeah, okay. When Dom testified in Parliament, he denied having any knowledge of who Justin Trudeau is. He's like, oh, I don't know who that guy is. Who's that? Maybe I saw him in an elevator once. Dominic Barton, who's this guy? He's now the chairman of Rio Tinto since 2022. He served as the Canadian ambassador to the People's Republic of China from 2019 to 2021. Barton was Trudeau's ambassador to China. He was also the global managing director of McKinsey and Company. You know, the same McKinsey that Justin Trudeau gave $209 million to in contracts, lucrative garbage contracts that Canadians got zero value for money. He was director of that global consulting firm from 2009 to 2018. He was previously the chairman of Tech Resources, previously the non-executive director at Singtel Group in Singapore and Investor AB in Sweden. And in 2022, Barton was appointed as chairman of the management board of Leapfrog Investments. So we need to pay attention to this one here for sure. I bring the receipts as usual. You can see in the top left corner, Rio Tinto. There's Dominic Barton, 2022 board, May 2022 chair. And there's his chair of Leapfrog Investments down there. And if you want to learn more about Dom, we're not going to go through all this, but here's a lot of his history on here. And as we see here, chancellor to the University of Waterloo. Dom,
you've done a tremendous amount to make life.
These guys are all goons. They're all interwoven here. So Dominic Barton used to be married to Sheila Labatt of the Labatt Blue Stumbling Jews Company. And we've also got ties between Rio Tinto and McKinsey. We've got McKinsey advised governments on mining royalty policies, overlap with Barton's later diplomatic role. We also have this, which is right off of McKinsey's own January 2017 release here. It says the future that works, automation, employment, and productivity. We also see automation being deployed today that is already generating real value. For example, Rio Tinto has deployed automated haul trucks and drilling machines at its mines in Pilbara, Australia, and is seeing a 10 to 20% increase in utilization. These guys are all working together here. There is a plan that's rolling out, and I have a feeling that, and this is a missing piece, Dominic Barton, which needs to be explored more. A lot of these arrows are pointing back to him. And another place all the arrows are pointing back to is China. China. Meanwhile, we've got Tim Hodgson here, like an angry jackal lying through his teeth.
We want that relationship to be strong and robust. The Americans have decided they're going to change how the international trading system works. That's their decision. We are going to respond in ways that are good for Canada, and that means we are going to grow our relationships with other like-minded allies. We are going to reduce our dependence on one particular customer. That is good business. That's what any business person would do. That's what this government is doing because that's what Canadians expect us to do.
This interview is so ridiculous because just before the section I showed you here, he is complaining about China having control over critical minerals.
Is that what, in your view, China is doing when it comes to critical minerals? And that is why you had to do what you did today?
Look, it's lost on none of us at the G7 that a few weeks ago, China put export restrictions on multiple critical minerals that are absolutely core to the functioning of our economies.
Absolutely core to the functioning of our economies. And here he is signing a deal with a company, Rio Tinto, whose largest investor is a Chinese state-owned enterprise. You can't make this crap up. It's just ridiculous. It's so absurd. Now, the other company mentioned there, we've got Quebec-based Nouveau, Monde, Graphite. Looking at this company, I don't see much about it. We've got the direct connections here. By all means, if you recognize any of the names, leave in the comments down below. But we've got Northern Superior Resources, La Sonde Industries, Brinks Group, Falcon Resources. I don't recognize any of these company names or any of these people. I did check it. They're not related to Brookfield. They're not related to Carney or his investments. Speaking of Carney's investments, we've got Brookfield raises $20 billion for Record Transition Fund. So this is Mark Carney's fund. This is the Brookfield Transition Fund 2 that just finalized here. It says final institution close for its flagship energy transition. So this is October 7th. This was a couple weeks ago. Obviously, Carney's not managing this now because he's prime minister now, but he set this up and he gets a bonus based on how well this is doing. And it's reached record numbers here. So basically, if we look at what we got here, like Neon, private to public takeover, leading global renewable power, etc., battery storage. We've got Geronimo Power, acquisition of large-scale diversification energy developer, Evren, a joint venture in India to accelerate development of wind solar projects. They're ramping this stuff up more and more and more. Mark Carney only has one agenda here. It's the net zero agenda. It's the carbon credit system to get rich to join the billionaires club. His fund is still in place here, and he profits directly off how well this does. He's going to push our country, the EU, the UK, all towards this, and he needs China's help. So while he's pretending to be conservative or conservative light, he's not. And he's not even a liberal. He's something else. He is a monster in himself that's just serving his own self-interests.